for this week, our group will present about selected environmental issues. For selected environmental issues, our group choose natural resources. So before that, I will introduce myself. My name is Nur Izzati Binti Kaiza. My groupmate are Shaza and Intan. So these are our presentation outline. We have overview of article, introduction, analysis, discussion and conclusion. So this is a part from our article paper. For overview of this paper that we chosen, first of all, the article title is The Impact of Natural Resources, Renewable Energy, Economic Growth on Carbon Dioxide Emission in Malaysia. This paper was published on 2020. The journal name is Energy, Economics and Policy, and the authors are Natna Pon, Akina Rajindawat, Bon Sri Sutirachai and Ponkul Suksot. Okay, for introduction of this article, in accordance with the researcher Dexter and Sarkozy 2019, alterations in the climate have actually become an important subject for argument all across the globe and worldwide phenomenon. This is because of the danger to sustainable growth and development. From past few years, due to expansion and industrial development, the globe has experienced substantial economic development and growth. In accordance with the researcher Dong et al. 2017, the unmaintainable usage of natural resources in emerging and as well as in emerged states produce serious ecological issues. For example, shortage of water, deforestation and change in climate. On the other hand, the far-reaching growth in the state of Malaysia led to a huge amount of ecological problems, especially in the emission of carbon dioxide, CO2, according to Kasayanot et al. 2019. According to Dexter and Sarkozy 2019, natural resource usage is a key part of manufacturing. As a result, enough supply leads to increased oil consumption and lower prices. The Malaysian government is made to pay uneconomical fuel subsidies due to the state of environment and natural resources. So better understanding of relationship between economic development, natural resources and CO2 emission is very important.
Hello, my name is Intan Binti Halim. In this video, I would like to share with all of you the analysis of the article that have chosen from our group. To collect the data on natural resources, renewable energy, economic growth, and CO2 emission, the author of the article used the data from the period of 1988 to 2017. The data from the past 10 years has been used by the researchers. The researchers used different tests in this study. For example, test of heteroscedasticity, unit root test, correlation test, and ARIMA test. The research is based on a quantitative method. On the basis of the theoretical framework of the study, the following econometric models are developed regarding each dependent variable, while CO2 emission is the dependent variable, which is measured with PROSI as a metric ton per capita. So, let's get through one by one on the tests that were used in collecting the data for this article. Heteroscedasticity test used during change in pattern variation is one of the problems which exists in the time series data. The heteroscedasticity test was utilized to check it. Basically, there is two hypotheses regarding heteroscedasticity test. The HO of heteroscedasticity models indicate that there is heteroscedasticity in data, whereas HA indicate that there is no heteroscedasticity in the data. So this study's result reject the HO and accept the H1 because F value is less than F tabulate and P greater 0.05. Panel unit root test used for the prerequisite and the assumption of the data. The data for each construct should be stationed at the level or at first difference. Mostly, variables are stationary at level. Results of the test indicates all the variable and stationary at first references, which fulfills the condition of ARIMA analysis. However, outcomes also showing that some variables is stationary at level as well. The correlation test is used to examine whether there is an association between variable of study or not, and what type of association is present between them. The most used test for assessment of correlation between variable is the Pearson correlation test. It means that the discriminant validity of current data is ensured because a variable must correlate with itself more than within any other variable. The acceptable correlation value for a positive correlation is normally greater 0.3 and less 0.05. ARIMA model analysis used in statistics and econometric, and in particular in time series analysis. These models are fit to time series data either to better understand the data or to predict future points. Findings of the above mention a significant and positive impact on CO2 emission in Malaysia when gross domestic product increase.
Let's move to the discussion. There are three hypotheses that we need to discuss. For hypothesis 1, the effect of renewable energy on CO2 emission is significant. Okay, when the renewable energy in the state increase, the emission of CO2 will be lessened. Moreover, the outcomes of this article demonstrate that the effect of natural resources on CO2 emission is positive. Okay, let's move to hypothesis 2. Hypothesis 2 say that the impact of natural resources on CO2 emission is significant. Okay, as when there is an increase in natural resources, there will be an increase in CO2 emission. Additionally, the outcomes of this study indicate that the influence of economic growth on CO2 emission is positive. And lastly, let's discuss about hypothesis 3. Economic growth has a significant effect on CO2 emission. Renewable energy has a negative effect on CO2 emission, whereas the economic growth and natural resources has a positive effect on CO2 emission. Alright, let's move to the conclusion. In conclusion, this study demonstrates that renewable energy is a crucial channel through which resources-dependent countries can mitigate the carbon dioxide emission. Our study can be extended in a number of ways. First, prospective research should explore whether this relationship holds for other regions or countries in different income groups, such as Saharan and Isaiva. Second, it is important to consider the role of other variables in such as gender equality, industrialization, or human capital can influence ReCO2 nexus in this region. Further studies should also use other empirical methods to take into account non-monatomic, asymmetric, long and short-run relationship or convergence among industries and countries in the level of CO2 emissions and RE adoption. So that's all from our group. Thank you for watching. Bye!